Georgia was the consensus #1 for like 99% of the college football season. After back-to-back national titles, the Dogs had a pretty new-look roster for the most part. One of those guys who returned to school and really boosted his draft stock is wide receiver McConkey, a guy who has been an incredibly reliable wide receiver for Georgia over the past couple of seasons, but how high does he ultimately get selected in a loaded 2024 wide receiver class? But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment and let me know who you guys want to see me talk about in the next video. You guys have been so supportive and have been really enjoying these prospect spotlights, so keep it coming. But without further ado, let's get into it. In 2022, McConkey put up pretty solid numbers. He had 58 receptions on the year for the Bulldogs with 762 yards and 7 touchdowns, as Georgia won their second consecutive national title. In 2023, with Carson Beck as the quarterback, McConkey missed some time due to injury, but when he was on the field, he was really productive, and I think he had a really solid year. He had 30 receptions for 483 yards and 2 touchdowns, and is a guy who has been slowly but surely rising up draft boards. McConkey is an incredible route runner. He breaks out of his routes quickly, and he cuts super sharp. He sells his routes, and he leverages himself extremely well. Even down the field, he can sell his route perfectly, and he does a really good job of generating separation and turning it into a big play. As a route runner, he is extremely impressive, and he sells everything so well, and it's one of the best parts of his game. He also has really solid speed at the position. He has a good initial burst off the line of scrimmage, and he has the speed to win down the field. He does a really good job of tracking down deep balls as well, and he has the speed to come underneath of it. On top of that, he has the ability to create extra yardage after the catch. He has some solid athleticism, which is a major plus, and he has some nice jukes he can use after the reception, and he's a really nice weapon. Another thing I really love about McConkey are his reliable hands. He has extremely strong hands, and he doesn't have many drops on his resume. If you throw him the ball, he is going to catch it, and he is extremely reliable, and he has quite a bit of upside, and he does all the little things that you love from a wide receiver. He is a very fundamental wide receiver, and he does a lot of things right. Great route runner, hands, and speed, but his size is where it might be a bit concerning for some people. He is 6 foot, 185 pounds. I think due to his frame, he is probably going to be best utilized as a slot receiver at the next level. I don't think he necessarily has the size to consistently win on the outside. He is built like a pure slot receiver, and on top of that, he isn't the most physical, imposing receiver in the world, not the greatest contested catch guy in the world, so I think being a slot is where he is going to fit in at the NFL level. McConkey is also inconsistent as a blocker. He's not a bad blocker, but he doesn't have the strength to hold his block as a run blocker as long as he should. I think he can improve for sure, but it is still something that I'm not wowed when it comes to Ladd. When I was going over my scouting report for this video and going over notes, I was really surprised at just how much I was sleeping on McConkey. He has the speed, the route running, and the hands to make him one of the most intriguing prospects in the draft class. Before recording this video, he was sitting pretty comfortably at around my wide receiver 18, and he moved significantly up my board. He is now my wide receiver 11 in the class. A guy who has all the fundamentals and could be a really solid player. He is my number 67 player in the class. McConkey is a very scheme versatile piece in my opinion. He can work on a vertical spread offense where he can stretch the field with his speed, or he can work in a West Coast offense and get the ball behind the line of scrimmage and turn that into a play after the catch. I think he can be used anywhere on the field because he is so fundamentally sound, but as I mentioned, I think he's a slot guy primarily at the next level. I think that's where you're going to get the most production out of him and where his game translates the best. So that's my scheme fit for him. My comparison for McConkey is Tyler Lockett. While Ladd is a wee bit taller, both of them are really good route runners. Lockett has been one of the most reliable and underrated wide receivers in the NFL over the last few seasons. He has phenomenal hands. Both are really good slot weapons with solid open field speed and the ability to turn a short catch into a big play in the blink of an eye. And on top of that, they're really good route runners and sell their routes incredibly well. Tyler Lockett is one of the best slot receivers in football, so that's my comparison. I think LaddMcConkey can immediately be one of the top slot weapons in the NFL. LaddMcConkey is a very fundamental player. He has it all. He does all the little things that you love to see from a wide receiver prospect extremely well, and is a guy who has some really interesting potential. I don't think he is going to be a superstar wide receiver, but I think he's a receiver you want on your team because he makes all the smart plays, and he's going to catch the football. Ultimately, I believe that LaddMcConkey will be a second-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft.